hands down, this is one of the wildest rom-coms I've seen, and for only being 3 episodes into this reimagining of this classic series, had an original anime, David Production came in and said, hey, let's give it that 2022 approach, and seriously, this love square with where we're kind of at, you could say it's bigger than that because everyone and their mother is either scared of Lum or wants to be with Lum. You know, there's a lot of perspectives. But in terms of what are the main characters we're focusing on, it's a very awkward love triangle between alien wife who says, don't cheat on me, dude who wants to marry his childhood crush and previous girlfriend. Girlfriend wants nothing to do with him, and now girlfriend wants something to do with the hot new boy, Mendo, who he wants alien wife. And the love square that is this episode, and just how they amplify all the stupidity, it was comedy gold. And like I've been saying over my past couple of videos for this show, is like, just because you're adapting something that's old school, something that came from years back, doesn't necessarily make it feel old school, because you can give it the most retro of art styles, you can completely 100% copy and paste the manga to anime. But it's a difference of how, yes, this series, I know, is known for making a lot of the tropes and trends you see even today a thing because of what this series did for the medium back in the day. But it's something about just how every episode makes it feel like it has more of an identity, more of a, there's nothing like this other than this, right? I mean, sure, you could go back to the original anime, but look at the past 5 years of anime. Is there anything that really came across as an anime sitcom set in the 80s in that area where you have literally episodic shenanigans as you do have like an overarching plot of where relationships start and where they'll eventually end with this womanizer MC who is complete scum half the time, but it just makes for such an entertaining yet old school style formula. And I love the fact that, seriously, my favorite part of this show has to be our leading man, Ataru. I mean, he does a lot of shit that's questionable, does a lot of shit that makes him not seem like the greatest of guys, but without him, the show falls apart. All the characters have a role to play, don't get me wrong, but without our leading man causing the shit to pile on, it's not going to be nearly as entertaining. Any successful sitcom, any successful show with that kind of episodic formula, it lives and dies by its crucial character, the weirdest character, the shittiest of characters, the funniest of characters. There's a whole bunch of ranges that you can work with, but you remove that one character, you try to replace the character, recast the character, right? It just doesn't work out. And that's what I love is when you look at the shenanigans that happened with this episode, it all relates to our leading man being involved. You have his childhood crush, Shinobu, wanting to go with the new boy, right? Mendo. Completely overboard, jumps out of a goddamn plane to come to school, kicks grandpa right off. I mean, it was like the sweet moment and he just completely yeets the boy right off. But I love the fact that for him, he's kind of like a womanizer in his own way, but without maybe being as creepy about it because the women actually want his womanizer ways. And I love the fact that he immediately goes from, oh, there's this cute girl Shinobu, yeah, she's nice, but then being like, oh wait, alien goddess waifu, maybe that's where I should put my loyalty. I love the fact that because you have essentially the two main love interests on the female side, both of which are connected to our lead man in some way. Ex and current engaged fiance wife shenanigans, whatever you want to call it, right? And I love how Mendo just gets so pissed off at this man because he just looks at him as like generic, no interest, the eyes really say how pathetic he is. And it turns into like this duel where like cannons are being shot, he's trying to slap him in the face with the glove so he can challenge him to a duel, and then in return ends up hitting, even though it like really was just kind of like a gentle toss, all things considered. The fact that alien waifu just completely obliterates him and then he gets all the credit because he covers her mouth. The show is just so overboard. It's so old school, but it feels like, man, if only anime would have done a lot more of this and maybe a less of some of the other things that got way more popular, because this shit is perfect. Like, the comedy is completely for me, and I could easily see myself watching hundreds of this style of episodes, similar to how any sitcom that is popular lasts hundreds of episodes, right? And really, it's just a shame that we don't see more anime like this, because look at the tunnel situation, right? So you have these two boys, two girls. They're basically going through the tunnels, and they keep trying to separate so they can be with their crush. At the first time, obviously they just end up with where the women want to go. Second time ends up with the boys together. And just like the escalation and just how you can easily see them being the best frenemies possible. Like Mendo and Ataru are without a doubt going to hate each other and going to hate each other's guts. But it's hard not to look at an episode like this and say there's going to be more times where they're together than they're not together. And those times are like the definition of frenemies. They try to work together in this episode so that they can split apart in the way that they want to. Doesn't work out, hate each other's guts, but for an anime watcher is completely top tier. And I really love the general aesthetic of this episode. I mean, the thing that is interesting about the background characters, and you see this sometimes from time to time, they don't fully detail background characters, they give them a unique style. This time we almost have like a polka dot feel with, you can tell what the characters look like without any of the features. And it really lets not only the background characters pop out more than a generic default background drawn character, something without that much detail because it's in the background, you're going to put most of the detail on the foreground, and the fact that it also lets the main characters themselves pop out even when those background characters are maybe in front of them. It goes a long way to let it just feel like there's such an identity to this show that makes it scream colorful, vibrant, it pops right out, and the shenanigans that they get into and the overreactive imaginations, like there's literally a torture device in this episode where our poor boy is like getting strapped to wheels, getting whipped. Hell, he gets killed by a samurai, it looks like, in one of those scenes. It's completely overboard and batshit crazy, but that's what I love about shows in general, not even just anime. I like shows that aren't super serious, that are just ridiculous. And yeah, maybe these shenanigans are so easy to avoid, but that's what the whole concept of a good sitcom is, and that's really what this is. It's an anime sitcom, and I completely love it. And I love how each of the characters that are kind of like the central focus right now, alien waifu, womanizer MC, childhood girlfriend wanted to marry, now turned as more or less like, I just hate your guts because you just look pathetic from my point of view, to now Rich Mendo, who basically all the girls want except the girl that he wants because she's just so infatuated with our main character. Like, those core characters in terms of like the school dynamic are perfect. Add in the parents either on the alien or the human side, you know, the grandpa mentor characters, like there's just so much to enjoy, and it just screams personality. But I mean, we're 3 for 3 right now. I think this has been a banger of a show. It hits my comedy funny bone, and I know it hits other people's as well. I will say, do not expect a video next week on this show because I do have a lot of appointments next month, all on Thursday, so expect like every other week for the next few videos being about a double review just because I won't have time to do it next week, but the week after I should be fine, so I just want to throw that out there. But let me know your thoughts on the episode, the series as a whole so far. If you have any, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. You can also consider supporting the Patreon if you want exclusive content ranging from live reactions, textless thumbnail art, a bunch of fun stuff, so consider that if you so wish. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.